Valorant minus 40 degrees. What is it like to live? Forest wind biting blizzard. But the man will freeze the cave, create a warm and comfortable home, not only to create an exclusive courtyard, lit to bonfire, beautiful roasted meat, freely in silver, wrapped in snow cancer, a man is struggling through the forest. This is already Desi in the runic era, the third year of jungling, homeless. He found a feng shui treasure, this rock crack that has stood for thousands of years to build. So after he put down his log, start collecting logs. I plan to build a warm and happy home here, because the surrounding is imprisoned by spells. There were collapsed tree hearts along the river. This is worth the dead wood for him to gather, without the slightest sense of guilt. It's very easy to collect a lot of, before building the shelter. He relies on 2 tree trunks to create his own courtyard first. It's if you're not careful, you're doomed after the courtyard is built, while keeping him safe. It also makes it more convenient for him to, and he started cleaning the ice pick. Although Desi lives in the wild, but with the company of 2 dogs, he never felt lonely in his heart, and he started cleaning up the debris from the cracks. After all, he doesn't want to be. The stone cracks have been polished and precipitated. It's really hard for him to clean up. After cleaning up the stone cracks for the safety of living, he began to support the crevices with such a pillar blessing. He was relieved that the next construction worked, because stone cracks are natural. So all he had to do was build a solid wall. And this kind of construction work, the virtue of a single dog, is simply at your fingertips. As the wall is built, in the future, he will peel an apple for them. In order not to spend every day, he began to lay a comfortable bed. The cracks are also filled with slate, and he started collecting planks. I have to say that Desi still has a good bow. He never drags his feet when he gets to work. Once you have enough planks, he began to perfect his comfortable wood. As the wooden bed is built, for the sake of future bad-performing arts, he started to build the wall in front of the door. Seriously, he not only uses wood, he uses clay as a filler, make it indestructible. Because this area is exceptional, so he started by building a warm fireplace. And the most important thing around is the straight rock. As the fireplace keeps rising, his heart is also more and more sad. After the fireplace is built, he went into the forest to collect fire, then light the fire and burn the clay in the fireplace. During the fireplace firing process, Daiko found flat stones and piled them on the wall. Under his patient and steady construction, walls rise at a speed visible to the naked eye. He also filled the gaps with clay. In this way, even if the cold wind outside is by his new home, and the blizzard continues. Basic travel with a new home. He started making door frames and windows. Although Desi is accompanied by dogs, but it was his incomparable hands that made him. Soon he had the gate made, and we started making windows. His skill is simply amazing. With the window installation completed, he's done with his hobbit cabin. For a more ritual sense of entry, he started cleaning up the debris, then create a luxurious and atmospheric lightweight and enjoy the view. And tables and chairs for cooking are of course essential. Desi is already familiar with the fetus. After completing the construction of the table to enhance the appearance and safety of the shelter, he started to build the fence safely, and in this way, he can be with her, play as you please in the garden. After finishing the video of Tinglang in front, he came to the forest to collect leaves and spread it evenly in the courtyard, so that he can perfectly integrate with nature. As the temperature plummets, he lit a warm bonfire, then take out the con legs and sausage that have been treasured for 2,000 years. Blends perfectly with fragrant grilled meat. It makes your appetite explode. Desi looked at the scenery, while enjoying the pleasure of delicious food. After eating and drinking, he stepped into it. The next day, Desi slept until blue oak come naturally of hope. After lighting a warm bonfire, I went to the nearby river to get mountain spring. I picked a few random leaves to make tea. Although a person lives in the wild, but Desi's quality of life is not low. He drank his tea and began to enjoy a comfortable life. What a good man. In order to become the object of imitation by all builders, and he's not only building the traditional mukurin in the wild. You make biochar, you grow corn peas, and the capture of black bears during the annual hunting, like 5 or 6 caddies of terran fish. Since Shan finished building the log cabin, he has spent a year in the wild. Although life in the wild is a bit lonely, but fortunately, the dog was always to get rid of this pain. He decided to take advantage of the history of not putting extra energy into building, because it's been perfected in every way. So Sean's going to go out and add on. Before the official start of construction, a week first, after handling the wooden square, start planning the foundations. This flat and wide spot in front of the door are also tree roots firmly rooted enough to build an outdoor kitchen. And for the wheel mother at the bottom as a frame, Sean is still carbonized with fire, plus smeared wood wax oil, then he can drink it with confidence. When the outline of the frame is fixed, at the same time, after confirming he selected some wooden squares of the right size, and we started to assemble the wall. Since the whole process is made by hand, without the help of modern evidence, such as cranes, so this process can only be completed by saw Sean at both ends of the wood, open the corresponding bamboo shoots, and groove. First link the framework tightly together. Secondly, the wooden bolt is punched in next to you can try to stand it up. The height of the kitchen is about 11 feet, and the frames are all made of solid wood. You need a winch to do it. This is for a 62-year-old man. It's certainly a challenging process. In the next few days, he installed the second side one, the third and fourth frames. From a high-altitude drone perspective, the area of the outdoor kitchen will not be too small. This also indicates that the workload will also, and as winter goes away, the temperature is Sean takes advantage of his busy spare time. Revamping the vegetable, planted some fruits, and then took their dogs out into the wilderness to feed. A great vacation always goes by the way. I received Sean had to stop his kung fu, running on the earth and plants moistened by spring rain. Let the whole forest breathe new life. The rain stops in the evening. He perfected the remaining vacancies first. Secondly, do the same for the stairs plant. And we started building the low walls inside. Due to its outdoor kitchen, located so Sean wasn't going to close it. As an elderly person who grew up in the 90s, he has also maintained local traditions. I enjoy cooking in this free environment. Wait until the internal support structure is fixed. Then the process becomes much simpler. Just install the plank seal in the railing. Preliminary construction of part of the kitchen. This progress is also very satisfactory to the next day, though the sky was drizzling. The weather is also suitable for work, especially dangerous aerial work like this. To avoid getting the wooden structure wet during frequent Sean is going to install the collar and strip seal the roof with color steel mesh. During this period, the lighting at the top of the he also deliberately reserved a skylight in the middle. Complex processes not only have, and the top is triangular, plus ceiling with planks. It's like rebuilding a log cabin. After this troublesome matter is solved, and Sean starts cutting the metal noodles. It's used to cover roofs, because it's just a place to make a fire and cook. So he didn't have to do extra insulation in order to prevent accidental falls from the sky. This time, Sean tied a safety rope around. Although I am still at the age where I can go out, but after all, considering Bailey only has one person, no one can get to the field in time to rescue. So he's not as bold as he used to be. After spending days covering the roof, it happened to usher in a thunderstorm. Fortunately, the kitchen has withstood nature. I didn't find any meaning of rain leakage. After the rain cleared, Sean uses the plank, close the gable position, then nail the inclined beam on the wall frame, and install a layer of flame retardant board and here we go. Protection. Assembling this old, it's not hard to see from this mottled and rusty stove already has some clay. Even some screws and other hardware are missing, especially the old cigarette case. Now, it is even more necessary, although it is a bit troublesome to repair. But Sean loves it very much. Exquisite form factor and multifunctional. Not only can it be used to boil water for cooking, it comes with bread fermentation, fit oven for repurposing this slice of cake. His sense of accomplishment must be very strong. And then Sean, as usual, many planks have been carbonized. Then fix it to the outer wall. After forming a special anti-corrosion device. At the same time, drywall is fixed, decorating the exposed walls. And with the basic division of labor of various hardcover. In the days that followed, Sean started making furniture out of pine, such as the dining benches and some cabinets, and dye them walnut. Wait until the kitchen countertops are built, then he grooved according to the size of the basin. And I started working on the details of the interior. The ugly concrete wall in front of the porch and the staircase into the house had to be built. After perfecting these shortcomings one by one, the days of construction also made Sean, so he practiced his archery a little bit. Decided to go hunting with the dog, just to improve their diet. After dragging the black bear back to the den, Sean started splitting. This male and female weighs about 150 kilograms to avoid waste. Also store food for the winter, so he wrapped most of it in grease. so it can be stored in a cool cellar. Finally, a pot of soup was boiled with the remaining flesh. He starts going fast with the dog. Time, FLI. The crops Sean planted in the spring, without ripening with fertilizers and chemicals, and most of them are now ripe for natural causes. He has harvested the most this year: carrots and beans. These two foods not only provide vitamins, and most importantly, it's easy to store. Just spread the ventilation out and avoid light. It can keep him in a state of no germination. It's another autumn scene. In his spare time, Sean starts to collect dry firewood. The firewood used here in winter is quite these piles on the ground. People who can only barely burn for half a month. In order to survive the cold winter, so he decided to build another firewood building. This not only saves the opposite sex, it also prevents rain and snow from simple wooden structures are not complicated. In no time at all, he had the foundation. The walls don't need to be tightly attached either. You just fix a rough wooden board on it, and then you wind the roof. With the temperature getting lower every day, Sean's movements also accelerate. The world at the end of autumn. He did it off and on. Unconsciously, the first snow of the year came quiet. Snowflakes flying in the sky. It's like giving the forest a new coat. It also hides the wooden house in the ground. Sean made a daily inspection of the palace. Then I went back inside and started enjoying my previously stored meat and crops, enough to keep him fed in the winter. It's just been a long time. No matter how lazy life is. So the next day, he started driving his snowmobile, explore nearby unknown lakes, and prepare to transfer to the east to replenish. Although most fish are in a state of hibernation, with the low temperature tolerance of tarantula, it still has the ability to learn about the world around. Therefore, Sean on this trip is also this about 7 kilocalories fish back to the log. He plans to make it all into fried and smoked fish. Life in the wilderness is what you see in Hunan. Most foods, including the cabin where Sean now you have to do it yourself. Self-reliance. The days that followed were spent like this, in meeting until the next year. The snow melted, and that's why Sean goes out and observes things. Fortunately, the wooden house is still some. The current increase in the river does not directly affect him. The advent of a new year, who is 63 years old. I ate bear meat and potatoes all winter. It makes the stomach ache, and chewing spicy food. And so this year, he's going to build a chicken. I raised some old hens in it myself, so you can eat both meat and eggs. However, considering the frequent presence of foxes and other beasts, or the foundation of ready to build the strongest house. While waiting for the structure to solidify, Sean came to the garden and planted some apple trees. Then folds the barren soil, and Ray sows some seeds on it to irrigate them later. And he put a hose in there, and then put a marker on every piece of the recipe. Next day, with concrete foundation dry mouth, hurry up and start building them. I saw that he spliced out a frame first, then after installing the other 3 sides, then began to plan the interior space and building roof structures online. After the machine shot is built, so Sean moves out into the corridor, create a roaming area for the old hens. After all, it's not realistic to be completely free range, only fool such a fool. And the empty areas between the frames to prevent beasts from eating the buffet. It must also be sealed with barbed wire. Just leave a door that can be opened and closed. But because it snows a lot every winter, snow may crush the wolf to the end. To solve this problem, Sean is between the chicken coop and wolf, heavily ventilated, and installed an automatic valve. This allows for remote operation. It can be seen how the chicks who just came here are plus him, the dog's curiosity about this new. It may take some time to try out the new environment. Sean then cleaves the stone with a chisel and a sledgehammer, decorating ugly concrete walls. He is in the process, incorporates a lot of aesthetic elements. Not only does the machine shop seem safe, and luxury is easier to say. For Kung Kun, this is a mansion. It took 2 months from start to finish. After completing this ultimate DIY project, it's time for the hottest season of the year. The crops planted at the beginning of the year, and it's also just maize and sprouted peas. Even apple trees bloom and bear fruit and travel. Sean is so cute. From time to time, I have to pruning the excess branches of the fruit, and like a berry that ripens quickly, a strawberry it's time to pick, because he never fertilized the crops. To ensure they have enough nutrients to grow, Sean developed himself with charcoal and plants, and you end up with a harmless creature. Carbon is a substance that goes back thousands of years. It not only enhances soil water retention, it locks in carbon dioxide, and increases crop yields. Just as he was busy, a wild turkey cackled in the distance. Then it became a delicacy on the table. Although the turkey was rough and a little, but for this kind of food delivered to you, he also refuses to come. After more than 4 years, from the original blank to the current wooden house, cellar toilet, an outdoor kitchen, chicken coop, and vegetable complete system perfectly realizes the autonomous son also lived a life of self-reliance. Maybe this is the desirable life.